Greetings and salutations. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to the summoners and the viewers. Welcome back here at the Garena Premier League 2016 Summer. We're gonna be your shoutcasters for this Game 5. I am Shinbu with the one for an eye.
And this is Arctic of War Gods La Liga Pilipinas, and wow, we are now on Game 5.
Yeah, some really hype up considering that we just came from Game 4 between Acclaim Empire X and Kanaya Gaming. Wherein, you know, it's a really close fight, huh?
Yeah.
It's a very close fight with Acclaim Empire X, of course, taking that victory against Kanaya Gaming, but it's an edge-to-edge fight, a matter between protecting the ADCs, whether a Jinx or a Tristana. But for this one, it's gonna be Kanaya Gaming's turn. Rather, it would be Vestigial versus Kuala Lumpur Hunter. So, looking to the bans and picks here, what are your insights, Coach?
Well, let's see. Once again, I feel like there's a bit of a trend we're seeing with the bans. You know, the Gragas, the Vladimir, the Trundle, all very standard bans at this point. And then for the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, it's more of target bans, you know. I believe these are champions that we've seen Vestigial to be more efficient on the Sivir, the Zed, and the LeBlanc being banned out from the rookie of Vestigial, Archilic. If I'm not mistaken, did I pronounce it? Yes. And the Sivir for Exelude.
Yeah, considering that Vestigial, a team from Singapore, actually are composed of veteran players. But for considering the arrival of their team, their newest members, their mid laner, actually, that is Ari Kelly, yet to step up because considering his last performance on that day one, he needs to work on and get that tempo on the mid lane. But usually what happens for the side of Vestigial Gaming is that he gets the support of the jungle.
Yes.
Early game phase to get him rolling so that he can still, you know, carry the game if ever he got out of that laning phase properly. Yeah.
And as we did see earlier during Game 1, Vestigial did pick up the slack, and we did see Arikelik sort of step up, and I'm really looking forward to see him further step up as we go later in the games. You know, there is a lot of pressure when you're the rookie going with... This is a full roster of veterans, as you said.
Yeah.
So when you're the rookie amongst veterans, there's a lot more pressure to perform. And I believe Arikelik, in all fairness to him, has been handling it fairly well and has been performing, I'd say, pretty decently. You know, I wouldn't say that we've seen him really go above and beyond, but nonetheless, very well played for a rookie, especially.
Yes. Considering the bans here for the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, what are your insights, Coach?
Okay, well, for the bans?
Yeah, or rather for the picks and
Yes.
compositions. In totality.
So, I'm gonna go look at the picks here. For
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, again, we've seen the Jhin. Oh my god, it's like when you have that Jhin, he's just a monster. Especially, I believe that Kuala Lumpur Hunters is playing the optimal composition to utilize a Jhin. You know, the Rek'Sai, you have the Gnar, you have the Braum to make sure that nobody gets in onto him. But oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, hold your horses right there. This is going to be a Syndra for Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yeah, I'd see, considering the AAX game earlier, with Ozora Veki still picking up that Syndra against, is that earlier? Kuala Lumpur Hunters. For yesterday.
Okay.
For yesterday, or rather, who's AX fighting earlier? Saigon Jokers,
yes,
right?
That's
then
correct.
Kanaya Gaming.
Yes.
Then Kuala Lumpur Hunters was facing BKT. There we go.
I see.
Backup silence once again. Ozora Veki rolling on this Syndra. Even though BKT took the victory on that game 2, on that game 3 against Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Ozora Veki not still hesitating to roll on that Syndra. What are insights on that Syndra mid lane?
Well, you know, I feel like Syndra is one of the more underestimated mid laners. You know, she has had a bit of a rework. You know, there's a lot of amplification that happened to her, and I'm actually quite confused actually as to why she hasn't been picked up as much. But then again, I guess there are a few risks when you're running the Syndra. There's that vulnerability, but when played correctly and on the right composition, as I feel like in this case, the team was able to get a fairly optimal composition that wherein they can make the most out of the Syndra. So, but nonetheless, we will see how that plays out for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters right here.
Yeah, we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we are live at YouTube Gaming. And also, you can check out the Facebook fan page of Garena Esports, the Pro Gaming Series, to get access, to get links and updates. What is happening here on the stream? You are watching the Garena Esports Philippines stream coverage for the Garena Premier League 2016 Summer. We are sending big shoutouts to the other streams as well, to the respective local streams of the the participating countries here at GPL 2016 Summer.
You know, that's what's really interesting. I'd say this is just pretty much shows how far Southeast Asia has evolved as an
Yeah, of
esports
course.
region. You know, we have each region having their own different stream in their own respective languages, and that's what kind of helps everybody get in on the action.
Because we have a very diverse pool of dialects here in the Southeast
Exactly.
Asian region. Like we have the Vietnamese, we have the Indonesians having their own language there. Sometimes
Represent.
I find myself listening to the songs of Vietnamese and Indonesians, and
Oh,
I really have no
nice.
idea what's being sung there. But of course, same case if we like sing a song, a Filipino song on the Vietnamese or Indonesian audience. Of course, for the Malaysian audience too, big shout out. Singapore, they're rolling on an English
Oh,
stream on that
yes.
one. So there we go for the viewers, for the Filipino viewers. You've seen Game 4. That is the final game of Acclaim Emperor X. Better watch out for the highlights, not just of Acclaim Emperor X, of the Philippine representative, but also of the highlights in the totality of this day 2 of Garena Premier League.
Yes, something to really look forward to. We've had quite a few explosive matches
Yeah.
today, which is why I'm particularly looking forward to seeing those highlights, you know, just so that we can relive all the action that happened on the Rift as of today. You know,
Yeah.
I guess that's what you'd expect of players in the Garena Premier League. They are the best representatives coming from their country, and nonetheless
Yes,
very
of
expected.
course, expectations to be said, expectations to be done. This is Game 5, second to the last match of Garena Premier League 2016 Summer. And you can see as we just hover over the Summoner's Rift, this is the match between Vestigial. Yeah, Vestigial, right? Vestigial. No,
Yes.
not Vestigial Esports or Vestigial Gaming. Just Vestigial from Singapore versus Kuala Lumpur Hunters on the blue side. We have Vestigial. In the top lane, it's gonna be Lai 4 on the Chen. In the jungle, BBTY. On the Hackery mid lane, Ari Kellic on that Victor. For the bottom duel, it's gonna be Maxilu on that Ash ADC. And Kra on that Karma support.
Yes, and supporters of Malaysia, make some noise for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters in the top lane. We have 13 Ghosts on the Gnar. In the jungle, we have Caspiel on the Rek'Sai. In the mid lane, we have Azora Vecchi on what is one of my favorite mid laners.
This is
That
your
is the
favorite?
Syndra. Yes, I love the the design, but ADC, Cool Kitty on the Jin, and to sum things up on the support, we have Superior, loving the pun, on the Braum. So looking at, we are in the game right now, so we're once again going to be seeing fairly standard laning phases for both teams. No attempts at any invades, so I guess, you know, both teams just want to kind of play it cool in this
Yes,
case.
of course. I was interested back at Game 4 with AEX. That's the first time they tried to pull off an invade. And right now, considering this game and considering the patch and the league meta in totality, rare are the chances of pulling off those early game invades.
Yes, and ooh, that is what I'm talking about. That is how you want to get things started when you're running on the Syndra. Try to get as much damage as you can while farming. You know, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone is what I'd say.
Yeah, or maybe hitting 2 birds with 1 dark spear.
There you
So
go.
that's it.
That's what I'm talking about. And wow, look at this. We have a little exchange going on here in the bot lane, trying to get as much damage as they can onto each other, trying to force each other into very unfavorable situations. But ooh,
Even with the awkwardness of this combo, Jin and Braum, it's
Yes.
very popular. We've been seeing this here at GPL.
yes.
I mean, it's not a bad combo. It's actually a good combo considering the power that Jin has right
Yes.
now and also the raw stats that Braum gives as a support. Just that, you know, when we say awkward, it's because you really want an attack speed oriented ADC from
Yes.
those concussive blows for the Braum.
Yes, and actually that's what happened yesterday when we were looking at a team. I forgot which team, but they did run a similar bot lane. And the
GPL.
problems that we had with the composition was that none of the other champions had the attack speed to help proc the concussive blows. But
Yeah.
looking at Kuala Lumpur Hunters, I believe they've executed this fairly tad bit better because our problem was attack speed. I feel like in this case, they will be able to make up for the Jin lacking the attack speed through the Rek'Sai, through the Gnar. You know, they are more auto attack oriented, so which grants a bit more easier time at proccing these concussive blows. So, ooh,
Yeah,
there we go.
Krabi on a dangerous position here. Forced to flash out, but that's one crucial summoner spell gone for the support of Vestigial.
Oh yes. So, oh my goodness. So, I guess not a slow-paced game after all.
Yeah.
We see teams trying to pull off this. Well, trying to flex a few muscles here, but
Yeah,
nonetheless,
Caspiel actually going back to his roots on this Rek'Sai. being aggressive to invade and take dominance on this red side jungle.
And yes, I guess when you're on that Rek'Sai, that is exactly what you want to do. You want to try to capitalize on the fact that she has a ton of Roman ganking potential, so long as you properly coordinate this with your fellow teammates. And as I've been saying, these are teams that are the best in their countries for a reason, and you know they're kind of used to making sure that they execute this properly. Although anything can happen on Summoners Rift, sometimes we do have those mishaps happening. So, but nonetheless, we'll see what happens as we go further on into the game.
Look at Caspel here being like a malignant cancer on the red side jungle of BBTY, never leaving this red side. This red Brambleback has been around for quite a good time and even is receiving the support of this Braum, but you can see how Caspiel is being punished, being dropped below half health, you know, being just that aggressive for this red buff.
Yes, and technically, you know, I guess that's a thing that Caspiel does want to do. We've seen how painful the Hecarim can be once he does get the key items that he needs, along with the fact that he has all the tools to get a really good engage through the ultimate right there. So very well played by Caspiel. You know, I like the thought process behind the pressure that he's putting onto BBTY in the jungle.
Okay, so we are seeing a taunt over here in the top lane. Of course, the normal mechanic would be to hop on his opponent, get that perfect or at a good range, then, you know, just roll that boomerang, put those normal hit for the hyper, then, you know, get done. Get that third stack, maybe he's on the initiate now. He's about to go Meganar form, but it's just too risky to pull up a tower dive against Ashen with a taunt.
Yes, and look at Caspiel here. He was once again in the jungle of the side of Vestigial. So I'm liking how Caspiel is a bit more fearless, knowing that, I guess if you're going to look at Vestigial's comp, things are a bit more immobile, with the exception of the Hecarim and the Karma.
Yeah.
Shen a little bit more mobile when I'd say not mobile, but more responsive once he does have his ult. But as I was saying, granted the fact that the Victor won't be as fast in terms of responding early game, I like how Caspiel is taking advantage of that by really trying to kind of mess up BBTY in his own jungle right there.
Especially considering that BBTY is known to be an aggressive jungler.
Yes. And sometimes that's all you need, you know, try to mess up what strengths you know your opponent can capitalize on and trying to work on it from there. So nonetheless, still a fairly even playing field. Although gold, I'd say, if you're going to look at the CS here, everyone on the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters is kind of poised at to have a fairly better CS. No matter, even though it's small, but still, that can kind of grow in the long run.
Yes, man, and right now our game is just as steady as it is. 6 minutes 50 seconds, no first blood yet, only aims for invades and denial of objectives. Everyone is just caging also well, sitting on level 5 and level 4. You have to get those spikes, maybe. Of course, there's a good amount of time before you get this Victor. Get his first mark or core upgrade, then, you know, for us for Syndra, obviously you want to get that ultimate unleash power to pull up that burst, but I wonder if will that be enough for the Victor.
True.
Good thing about Victor though is he won't be rushing the Negatron cloak.
Yes.
He has no choice but to buy really that Hex core upgrade, and that's a good window for Ozora Becky if he ever wants to burst this Victor Arkeli.
Yes, and there we go, the Rek'Sai being spotted out by the side of Vestigial. Somewhat of an attempt, but you know, Rek'Sai still making his presence known, telling Vestigial that you better beware of me. I am roaming around quite a lot and you have to be careful. And I guess that kind of helps, because in a way that promotes a little bit of a fear on Vestigial side by playing a little bit of mind game that the Rek'Sai has a full presence on the map. And unless Vestigial kind of starts establishing some kind of ward control in some crucial areas so that they are aware of where the Rek'Sai is.
It's gonna go bad now for BBTY. He knows he get a spot out on the ward side brush for the mid lane. That Rek'Sai Caspil's on the range, flashes in with the shadow that gets the taunt onto Caspil. First blood given onto Ari Kalix Victor.
Oh my goodness. That is, wow. Vestigial really pulling off the stocks here, and No, as I was saying, Syndra is kind of high risk, high reward, and that is not how you want to start off a game, knowing that you have that Syndra on the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, but still fairly early to say that. And still, if you're going to look at that, even with that one kill, in terms of gold, it's very even. And in
Yeah.
fact, Kuala Lumpur Hunters still slightly, just even though it's by a bit, but still, you have to remember that 3 members, you have 2 assists, and then the one kill that the victor was able to secure. So
Yeah.
very interesting that the gold isn't really that. There's no even after getting that one kill, you're kind of expecting Vestigial to at least have a little bit of a gold
Yeah,
difference.
yeah,
But still,
yeah.
Kuala Lumpur Hunters, due to the fact that they are efficient at getting good CS,
Yeah.
still very, very close.
Here's a little fun fact and a little lesson for our viewers.
Yeah.
Whenever you get killed, like for example, sometimes players get salty
Yes.
when they get collapsed on by 5 members or 4 members. Actually, all the more reason that you want to really get a kill using 4 members and 3 members because of the assist mechanic.
Yes, that's
Yes, because inherently there will be more gold
true.
if more players or more allies are involved in getting that kill. So it's really, I'd say, sorry for the word, like stupid to
Yes.
say like it takes three players to kill me. I'm that strong.
Exactly.
No, logic says that it's better to actually have the 5 players at the very least to kill you because the gold for the team will be bigger. You want that assist, diba? You want that assist to be given to your allies at the very least. Only at you considering that only one player can get the kill.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Very good point actually, Shinru. And looking at this, the bot lane, look at this. The Jin already at 100 CS, the Ashe at 84. So, whoops, superior.
Yes.
Not sure what he was doing there, but nonetheless.
Yeah. And
Oh!
now there's a peek off in the mid lane. Nice. He's hit there by Caspel, though he gets jumped in here by BBTY. Now he's not falling back after he get the assistance from the Scatter the Weak, though BBTY has a good amount of movement speed over that mid lane. So we are now left with a 1-for-1. The jungler, once again, Caspel securing that one. He is even rushing this Tiamat.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it.
Wow.
Again, it's like you were pinpointing.
He
in
doesn't
the
mind
previous
being first blood,
Yeah, exactly.
being the first blood. He's still building damage Rek'Sai.
Exactly,
Yeah.
there we go. And I'm not sure how that'll play off for KLH in the wrong one, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's something that KLH is concocting here, leading to the mid and late game. But nonetheless, look at this. Still, look at again. I keep on emphasizing this: the CS difference. I
Yeah.
feel like KLH is one of those teams that is more proficient at getting CS, and that kind of helps. Even the smallest difference in CS, it kind of helps make sure you have an even playing field. Let's say even if Vestigial is able to get a few kills more, the fact that KLH is so efficient in making sure that they're ahead in CS kind of helps balance that out. And sometimes it's the small things that really help make sure that you maintain relevance in these games right
Yeah.
here.
Look at this. Ozora Becky now rushing that Morelia Nomicon. Whereas after the first Hex Core upgrade, Ari Kelly rushing that Negatron Cloak.
Oh,
Going
yes.
onto this magic resistance for this mantle. Not even buying any boots.
Actually, yeah, now
yeah,
that you
because-
mention it.
Because actually, I like the magic resistance compared to the boots. Yes, you might think that the Scatter the Weak of Syndra
Yes.
is like a projectile skill, so you would want the mobility to dodge that one. But the thing is, at top of that projectile skill, Syndra is considered as a burst champion.
Yes.
So all the more reason that you would want to build that magic resistance.
And exactly, because I feel like regardless if the victor went for the boots, what really matters is the survivability when you're going up against the Cinder, because she is, as you said, a burst champion. And I feel like with that added survivability, which the victor will have, it'll help him also deal his own damage going up against the Cinder. So fairly evenly played out, very well rationalized for Arikelic in this case.
Yes, right now we have
Ooh.
the fourth bullet. Actually, Mexilu could go for the advance here as Kokiri is now reloading. Now finished though, but still Winter's Bite is on cooldown. As you can see, Superior has used that one, but sneakily and steadily, Caspel and Ozora Becky
Yes,
getting
and
getting this Mountain Drake off in the eyes of Vestigial. That is the Mountain Drake falling into the hands of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Vestigial not aware at all of what was going on, and that was an easily taken dragon. And that kind of plays a little bit of a mind game for
Yeah.
Vestigial, you know, knowing that they Kuala Lumpur Hunters was able to take that dragon. There's kind of that mind game wherein, oh, we know that the jungler is in the bot lane, so we have to be a little bit more careful because that might be a gank in follow-up. But no, nonetheless, the Rek'Sai opting to go to the upper side of the map. So a little bit of mind games here, very well played by Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yeah, that's why you may want really the Rex and the power of his skills.
Yes.
The one good reason about sneaky picks being initiated or even Baron is good map control.
Yes.
And compared to Hecarim,
Mm.
Rek'Sai has good control for the map with the tunnel and the Void Rush.
Yes.
He knows that if whenever push comes to shove, he can actually transfer on the side lanes
Ooh.
with this tunnel and Void Rush of his.
Speaking of sneaky though, BBTUI trying to poise himself in potentially getting the members of
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur Hunters in the bot lane.
Yeah, it
and
will be big, especially that Jin is kind of immobile.
yes.
Yeah. It's just a matter of landing the fourth bullet. BBTY could initiate on Jin as he reloads.
Exactly, and that's really what you want to do when you're going up against the Jin. Oh! Unfortunately,
Yeah,
BBTUI
Superior
got out there,
sets
but-
that
oh!
one, but still they won't stop. Delivering the Shen in the back line. That's on to cook it. Didn't connect. This is going south for Vestigial as Teleport now is coming in from the Nar! There's also the Nar ult onto Kra. And Kra will receive the fourth stack. Make that the fourth bullet too from the curtain call. Two members are gone for the side of Vestigial. They're gonna collapse onto the fourth as Mexilu also kiss the ground. That's a 3-4-0 exchange being done here by the counter attack by Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Very beautifully played by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. They
Yeah.
were able to bait Vestigial into overcommitting into that chase, and as a result, Kuala Lumpur Hunters just capitalizing on that, getting 3 kills off of Vestigial.
Yeah.
Very well played from Malaysia's
Again,
Fight
going back
team.
into that team fight, it's life 4, messing up the Shadow Dash.
Yes.
It did not connect it to Cool Kitty, and it's very clear. When the Shadow Dash didn't connect, we fall back, but it's just too late. I would like to comment 13 goes after the jump on the Gnar on Mega Gnar form. Easily just pulling up the ultimate. Also Gnar once again on the wall, on the side walls. And you know, it's just a cleanup for Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Peeking off the bottom duo. And I think this BBTY that also died. No, rather it's the Victor or Shen that died after the engage. Wow.
Very interesting indeed. And oh my goodness, honestly very surprised though with how Kuala Lumpur Hunters is playing. But then again, they have been performing surprisingly well so far. For me, at least in my opinion, they have been performing fairly decent here in
Yep.
the Garena Premier League, and we'll just see what happens. You know, as I've been saying, it's all about once you do get this lead, it's all about capitalizing on it and making sure that your opponent doesn't have any opportunity whatsoever to try to make a comeback. And in this case, I think knowing Vestigial, I feel like they can still make a comeback, but then again, they shouldn't underestimate the control that Kuala Lumpur Hunters can potentially establish. But oh!
And there we go. You can see also the itemizations of these two mid laners. You know, just pulling off that Negatron Cloak. Thanks to Negatron Cloak. No!
Oh!
One last flash. And also a Dark Spear. That will do it. Even with the Negatron Cloak on the side of Arikelik, won't be enough. Because you know, because of the Magic Pen and Pen Boots of Arizona Becky here.
And exactly like as you were talking about earlier, Victor, I feel like he would have had a bit more, he would have been more beneficial if he went for the Abyssal Scepter straight up. Maybe. Oh wait, no.
Yeah,
not-
he's going for the Abyssal
Yes.
Scepter. But the itemization is will start on the Negatron Cloak. The thing here is that maybe instead of the Lucidity,
Yes.
he may want to go for the M-Pen Boots. But Lucidity is also a good pick
Yeah.
on Victor. It's just he's not respecting the range and the accuracy that Ozora Becky is showing up here on the Syndra.
Yes, and I feel like in this case, Vestigial should really start looking out for Arikelik, because in the previous games, we have seen moments wherein if Arikelik doesn't establish a fairly good start in the early game, he kind of has a hard time maintaining relevance. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens here. Especially since I gotta commend Ozorovecki, fairly good play on the Syndra so far. As I said, it's a high risk, high reward, and I feel like the high rewards are so far proving to be the case for Kuala Lumpur Hunters mid lane here. Very well played indeed.
And there you go, summoners, and to the viewers and audiences here at our stream. What you are watching once again, we are now onto the Game 5 about today's episode of GPL
Yes.
2016 Summer Match between Singapore's Vestigial for the blue side, and of course, from Malaysia,
Yes,
Kuala
indeed.
Lumpur,
Mhm.
Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yes, and once again, these are six of Southeast Asia's finest teams duking it out at a chance to make it to the international wild card.
Yes.
And hopefully, who knows, make it to Worlds. We'll see what happens if Southeast Asia can represent indeed as we go into this game right here. I gotta commend Kuala Lumpur Hunters. They are performing beyond
Yeah.
my expectation.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting an even playing field here because Vestigial kind of making up for that first defeat that they had yesterday. You know, I've seen a bit more consistency in them. Although, then again,
Considering Singapore Sentinels,
yes,
you know, Singapore actually has this good pool
yes,
of professional
true.
players too. So knowing the Vestigial hails from Singapore, there's kind of good expectations for them.
Yes,
But right now, Kuala Lumpur Hunters is steadily, you know, in terms of performance throughout this GPL so
Yes.
far, they definitely have a better show up compared to Vestigial.
from what I'm seeing here, it's kind of like the case we saw with Saigon Jokers yesterday, wherein you could definitely see the heavy objective control coming from Kuala Lumpur Hunters. I'm yet to see measures being taken by Vestigial rather, to establish some kind of control on this match. Mostly, it's more on their side, but nothing particularly offensive. And as a result, Kuala Lumpur Hunters just capitalizing on that fact. And I gotta say, Kuala Lumpur Hunters, if Vestigial does not realize these steps that they need to take, the win conditions that they need to realize to kind of flip this back in their favor, then I'd say Kuala Lumpur Hunters is doing a pretty good job at making the most out of the advantages that they have right now.
Yes, and we are now 20 minutes more on the 20-minute mark here in the Summoner's Reap. You have to take note that the Baron is now off. Next trick that is will be available, not yet on the 2-minute mark though, would be the Cloud Drake.
Oh yes,
Yes.
and
Also the gold lead here, very observable for the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. It will be massive for them if ever they want to assert this one. Quite manifested actually for the side of the mid laner, Zora Veggie, hailing that KDA of 201. Now with the Abyssal Scepter completed.
and I feel like in this case, Kuala Lumpur Hunters' advantage is just going hand in hand. But oh, hold that thought.
Wow, here comes the initiate, and just like that, they know they can pull off the combo. Though, Ozora Veggie gets tagged here by Life 4, Life 4. Now, Kuala Lumpur Hunters has pulled off all the trigger out to Vestigial. Will they get the re-initiate? Let's see, though. You can see the teleport coming in from 13 Ghost. Mexilu, nobody's touching him. He's trying to put in those arrows onto Superior, but I think that will reason the fight. They run the risk of getting a re-engage too from Caspiel. 1-for-1, ladies and gentlemen, with both of the mid laners going down.
Yes, very interesting. I'm surprised that that wasn't as explosive as I expected. But here we go. Kuala Lumpur Hunters going hard. Really want to take this inner turret. And yes, that will be another turret taken by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. And technically, that is indeed what they should be doing. You know, they have a fairly decent lead in terms of the objective control. And why not capitalize on that? And that's exactly what's so beautiful about what Kuala Lumpur Hunters is doing right at this very moment. I'm loving it.
And you have to consider the power of the initiation too here by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. It may seem that Vestigial has the better initiate, given this Hecarim paired with the Karma, Ash Arrow, plus the Shen ultimate. But the thing is, if Ozorabek is like in the front side, and he land a crucial Scatter the Weak,
Yes.
Cool Kitty can easily snipe out
That's true.
with that curtain call. And that's what happened against Eric Kelly back on that mid lane, inner mid lane siege.
Yes, indeed. And that's actually a very good point because if we're going to look at the composition of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, a lot of this composition particularly, I feel requires a bit more coordination.
Yeah.
Because if you really want to maximize that Jid and the Syndra, you really need the Gnar, the Rek'Sai, and the Braum to kind of set things up for them so that they're not in a vulnerable position. And at the same time, with that positioning, so long as they're in the right place, they could really dish out tons and tons of damage. And Ozora Vecchi
Yeah.
just really showing flexing muscles on this Syndra right now.
Yes.
Very impressed.
And they're setting up a death brush also on the Baron side. Look at that one. You can see how Azora Vecchi is trying to stack up Dark Spears earlier on. They got spotted by the pink ward. There's the fallback signal, rather, or the signal for the position here of Kuala Lumpur Hunters coming in from the side of Vestigial, but Kuala Lumpur Hunters will just make do with this blue Sentinel.
Yes, and one thing that I particularly noticed is the domination of the Jin so far in the Garena Premier League. I feel like
Yeah,
if you're gonna look at win percentage, a lot of these games are more of winning games when you're on this Jin, because we all know how much of a beast he is. I feel like he has consistent damage regardless of early, mid, and late game. You have I mean, not consistent damage, but rather consistent advantages, because you have that heavy poke going to early so long as you have the right support, and then mid and late game so long as you're able to build up and maintain relevance, he deals tons and tons of damage.
and here comes the arrow. Will they be able to finish up the turret? 13 Ghosts will secure that one, but in the back line, Life for Lie, and also the jungler, BBTY, though, kiss their ground. Now, they're not dealing decent damage. That is the back line, though, for the Vestigial. That is Cool Kitty pulls off the critical. Second bullet will not connect. Will the fourth bullet? Yes, it will be onto Ari Kellic once again. Chaos Storm in the back line, puts decent damage on Caspel, but there's two members of Vestigial getting embraced here by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Now they're gonna take on this bottom lane inhibitor turret plus the inhibitor.
Vestigial just looking pretty out of sync in this game. Kuala Lumpur Hunters again taking advantage of this kind of
Yeah,
unsynchronized plays coming from Vestigial. I feel like they're just kind of off in this game right now. None of the players, especially who I've been expecting to step in, Life or BBTY and Mexilu, they've been fairly, even Kra actually, they've been fairly good in those winning games, and I'm kind of surprised that none of them have been stepping up so far, especially Eric Kellic. Although, I guess, even though he has the pass of being the rookie, still, this is not what I wasn't expecting coming from Singapore's finest team, which is Vestigial. I've actually pegged to have a little bit more high hopes for them, but in this case, Kuala Lumpur Hunters just dominating.
yeah, and look at that. That's what turned out for this match. And going back for the replay, everyone's just flashing in, but you can see how Vestigial is just chasing up, trying to shoo away Kuala Lumpur Hunters, now managing to snag off. Oh my god, so many flashes, so many engage. No, joke lang. As you can see from the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, they still manage to take away one inhibitor for the side and against Vestigial.
Yes, and again, as I've been saying, the objective control coming from Kuala Lumpur Hunters. This is what I'm talking about with the other teams. Some of the teams earlier during the previous games and yesterday, when they have that lead, they weren't capitalized on it as much as they can. And Kuala Lumpur Hunters doing what I've been expecting of teams to have these early leads. They're just continuing to capitalize on the objective control is absolutely amazing. Vestigial in a position where they just don't have any control whatsoever. And in this case, unless Vestigial picks up the slack, I'm seeing that Kuala Lumpur Hunters absolutely looking poised to take this game. And at this point, I'm not really sure how Vestigial can make a comeback. Although, because if you're going to look at it, nobody is particularly in a good position on the side of Vestigial as far as item builds, as far as, maintaining relevance in these clashes. Unless they're establish some kind of perfect synchronization for organization. Kuala Lumpur Hunters just, even with small mistakes there, and look at this, there we go.
Yeah, so you can see Shadow Dash will connect onto 13 Ghosts. Now another initiate being pulled up here by Vestigial, pulling up the defensive, but they cannot dish decent damage in the front line. That is Mexilu, that is. Now 13 Ghosts gets cancelled for his teleport, and one member still, BBTY, being punished here after that initiate. But that is, I would like to commend that initiate, but a follow-up, and I would say the damage from Mexilu is not enough. Like, superior can still steadily withstand that, being back up by the damage coming in from Ozora Vecchi. Now Cashwell pulled off a two-man Naga. Deadly Flourish onto Eric. Like, here comes the movement speed coming in from the Karma-inspired or Mantra-inspired Karma Shield. Nobody will get tagged or destroyed or die over the top lane, but it is the inner top lane turret once again getting hunted on by the Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Oh my goodness, look at the scoreboard, 2-9 now with all more than 10,000. And look at this, Kuala Lumpur Hunters not hesitant at all to take this Baron, knowing that there is just no control, no presence whatsoever coming from this DJ, and it's just a matter of time before it's. I feel like this is just a game that's waiting to be finished at this point, because life or if you notice, you know, the timing of the ult was fairly decent, but then again, because Vestigial is just so behind, they're not able to survive long enough for life or to get the response that he wants to do in these clashes. And oh my goodness, very well played by Kuala Lumpur Hunters here. Malaysia's team really flexing some muscle and showing why they're here, why, you know, as far as the dream is concerned, to make it to IWCC and Worlds.
I also want to point out. The bottom lane engage, the earlier bottom lane engage. Before that bottom lane inhibitor got destroyed, the arrow coming in from Mexilu. The arrow initiate under the inner bottom lane turret is good. It's really nice, paired up with the Hecarim flank. But the one who received the arrow, it's not that optimal. It was Rek'Sai and Braum, a tanky front line. At the very least, if like Mexilu just aim it a little bit on the right side, maybe it is able to hit the back line, because right now what Vestigial want to catch for BBTY to flank is purely the back line.
Yes.
But right now it's kind of awkward considering the initiate from BBTY's Onslaught on Shadows. He just gets shredded through and he cannot withstand the backline damage compared to Braum, who can withstand the damage coming in from Mexilu's Ashe. And look at that, after that mid-lane engage, as you have mentioned, this is just a game waiting to be won here by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Two members, the support plus the mid laner here of Vestigial. Now Vestigial for this fight, as they are dead right now. One flash in, and that's the ADC also gone. Matter of picks, this is Kuala Lumpur Hunters once again pulling up the hunt, successfully getting that victory against Vestigial of Singapore.
Yes, very well played. Malaysia's pride really stepping it up right here. And Kuala Lumpur Hunters, I gotta say, they've been particularly impressing me so far in the Garena Premier League. I wouldn't say I had low or high just kind of average. But
yeah, actually,
so far,
I'm expecting for Kuala Lumpur Hunters, given the performance still, considering the matches that Vestigial has played. But of course, yes, for the insights. But we have here the end game screen. What is your insight, coach?
Oh my god, as I was saying earlier, none of Vestigial's members here are in a position to try to turn this around. You know, the victor is just so behind the Ashe, and none of the members are particularly able to maintain relevance going into this mid game here. And Kuala Lumpur Hunters, again, the scores speak for itself, the statistics and the damage. Although I gotta commend Vestigial, you know, look at the damage though. Still fairly decent.
Yes, from Ashe.
Yes.
From Ashe, damage dealt to champions. But if you could see damage received to champion,
yes,
it's very likely there's a good amount being mitigated there by Braum.
Yes, exactly.
I would guess if the damage dealt to champion will be shown, I'm guessing all of that gets tanked by Braum. For the side of Vestigial, that is on Hecarim.
Yes,
and Hecarim once again cannot withstand. Like, the tank of Vestigial goes down faster compared to the tanks of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yes, and that is the beauty of the Braum indeed. Congratulations to Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
I would like to commend the Nar too. Like, the standing tank for Vestigial was the Shen also, aside from the Hecarim. But the thing is, Shen is kept busy by the Nar.
Exactly. And I guess that's the complication that Life or had when he was going up against the Nar, which is why he wasn't able to contribute as much in the game. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, Game 5, another beautiful play there from Malaysia. And
of course. And we still have Game 6. We still have Game 6, of course. For those who are looking for AEX matches, they're going to be playing tomorrow. There are representative for the Garena Premier League 2016 summer after they managed to beat IPT in the finals of the Pro Gaming Series 2016 summer. So watch out for the matches tomorrow for AX supporters. But we are not yet finished for today's episode. We are down to the final game, Game 6. So we'll be right back. I am Shinbu with a 1 for an eye.
And this is Arctic. Stay tuned for Game 6.
Will they be able to finish up the turret? 13 goes. We'll see.